Live from Latrobe Motorsports Studios, this is Ride Along with Howie, from the fast half-mile track at Latrobe Speedway, where it's grassroots racing at its finest. Here's Howie.
Welcome, race fans, to the second edition of Ride Along with Howie, brought to you by Latrobe Speedway. Right now, we're on the phone with our pit steward, Mr. John Smilie. John, welcome to the Ride Along. How are you tonight?
I am great, Howie. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thank you for taking some time and going for a ride. Appreciate what you're doing, and I wanted to get to learn more about John Smilie. People might not be aware that you were actually kind of born into racing. Your father was a pit steward named Art Smilie, very respected in the local racing community, and you kind of carried on that tradition. Whether you wanted to or not, that's the other question, but you've come back to it the past couple of years here at Latrobe Speedway, and it seems like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Yeah, slow news days. There's a lot more people out there. I'm sure people would love to hear from. Certainly, willing to take the time to talk to you and enjoy doing this. So, just a little, about me. I like to think kind of born into it. That's really the truth. At a very, very young age, even before I can remember, I was at the Latrobe Speedway, formerly Schmuckers. My parents, you mentioned my dad, my mom, being good friends with Ron and Judy Schmucker. Ron recently passed away here in the last few months. But they were very good friends, and then, of course, sold the track at the George Tesla. And my folks were, friends with them as well. So, that's my first memories of coming to Latrobe. So I kind of feel like, after all these years, I'm home again, in some ways. This is my first opportunity to work at Latrobe. As I was growing up, I was at the races before I could probably even walk. Fridays we would go to Lernerville, took me to school, and it was such a great time. And then Saturdays we would go to PMS, where he was a scorer there, and then Sundays to the Motorville. So we went from Lernerville to PMS to Motordrome on the weekends. And that was on time. It was family time. It was time in the car, and it was everything. So grew up around it. My dad was always actively involved. From the time I can remember. Being doing different things at the track. He was pit steward at Lernerville for years, and then he scored at PMS, and then, pit steward at Motordrome. He worked at all the other tracks as well. So, I know I'm kind of rambling here a little bit. You asked, how did I get it? It was from my dad. My first role at the track was at Motordrome. When Motordrome was dirt. I'm kind of dating myself. I was 12 years old, and at the time that you had to be 14 years old to get into the pits. So they made me an official. So I was the junior pit steward. I stuffed the pills. I did the pill draw, all that good stuff that puts me on the way. And then whenever I turned 14, I became the lineup guy, and until it was paved. But in the meantime, my dad wanted me to learn everything about the racing and stuff like that, and me learn how to score and all that. So, that was my first stint, was whenever Motordrome was dirt. I'm dating myself, but that's how I kind of get started.
And then you actually varied off a little bit from your dad, to where your dad always worked at the tracks, but never worked on the car. And then you decided you wanted to get more knowledge per se, and you decided you wanted to start working on cars, and you and Sammy Style were racing together down at PMS and some other tracks. And actually, we got some photos here of one of the pictures is you and Sammy and Alice Style in Victory Lane, I believe, down at PPMS. And,
I think that's where that was. But yeah, growing up, and my parents' friends are friends with now. And I looked at the family, whenever we were young and growing up. We started racing indoors, and we come around, looking at him. And then, they gave me a mud scraper and, let me scrape on the gears and, do different things, changing tires and changing gears. And that just kind of taught me a lot. Bill was an amazing guy, who has since passed as well. Yeah, kind of let me tag along with them. But, that was their, inspiration. And kind of let me learn a little bit. Just come around with them and let me be their little gopher. So that was fun. And, when we were in high school and things like that. So again, dating myself a little.
Yeah, but you know what? You had a lot of great times, and you're kind of like me. When you were younger, your parents kept, I don't want to say a tight leash on you, but they always knew where you were because you were either with them or you were out playing sports or you were racing, and kept us out of trouble and honestly, helped make us the people we are today.
Very, very, very true. Racing, it's all today, parents can't take their kids, to the racetrack, and everybody walks out for each other, especially at the growing up, Barnahan, all of those guys, we were afraid to do anything, because they would, they would definitely whoop you before your dad would. You stayed out of trouble, and racing did help with it too.
And then you actually, your first paid job outside of racing, you worked for Denny Angelico on his race car.
Yeah, well, 15 years old, and after the races at, I might have even been 13. I don't know. It was after the races and. There, I guess reflecting on the night, maybe having a few adult beverages, and jokingly, I think that him and my dad were talking and said, you need a job. And the next thing I know, I was at DNA Auto Auction at 6 a.m. the next morning, and I was skimming the scum of the pond because nobody knew I was coming. So I was start cleaning the scum off the pond. But, hang around with Denny and Gary Henry is a very young guy cleaning their race cars. At the time, Bob Waring Sr. was their driver. It was cool because Jeff Henry worked there at DNA, and he would take me to lunch and all that stuff. So I got to kind of hang out with my dad's buddies, which was really cool.
And nothing wrong with that. And again, kept you out of trouble and put some money in your pocket, and you kind of became dedicated to racing, and so dedicated. The one story that I'll never forget about my friend John Smilie is the night of his wedding rehearsal. You went to the track before you went to the rehearsal, and that just shows the dedication that you have and the love you have for this sport.
Yeah. Now reminds me of even though we stayed together. But we raced on Friday night. And racing scheduled weddings around around racing. I was fortunate enough to do that, get married in the summer. So, rehearsal dinner was on Friday, and it didn't start till 4 or 5, so I had enough time to get down to Smithton and Greensburg for the rehearsal. So, I just thought everything all kind of.
And we've been talking a lot about family here at Latrobe Speedway, and we have a picture of you and I believe that's your son Alex, down from the Motordrome Speedway with him wearing your headset and that. And, you had a couple kids and you just decided you wanted to put more time into the fathering and stepped away from racing for, God, what about 6, 7 years?
Yeah, about 5, 6 years.
And but you're always just a phone call away. And when I think of John Smilie, one thing I think of is loyalty and respect. And down at Motordrome, our back gate man, Mr. Trubiani, passed away, and there's a couple weeks left in the season, and you called down and told everybody, I want to take Mr. Trubiani's job, and you donated the money to the family just to help them out. But just shows the type of person you are. You might not have been there, but you were always just a phone call away.
Oh yeah, I mean, thanks. I mean, even the time that the action and all that stuff, which I don't regret anything. You know, sit in the stands, with my son and let him, enjoy racing where it wasn't working. I was just being a dad and watching with him, which was fun too. So.
How about the kids? Do either of them have the racing bug or?
Not yet. My son, he's learning to drive. I don't know if we'll ever get it. I never was, into that myself as far as driving.
And we got you to come out, and last year was your first full season here at Latrobe, and we appreciate you coming on. And, one thing people don't realize is just how many hats you wear on a race night. You're in charge of the pitch, you're in charge of pill draw, the lineups, and basically you're the grown up to a bunch of kids, we'll say, because, it's a nice way of putting how the racers are some nights, you know. You have to be the adult.
Yeah. Like, um, I mean, growing up, I was told, don't have a specific races, and your job is to, and really, look at it as, my job is to maintain athlete. What great people to work for. Working with them, to kind of come to the common goal, and that's awesome. Everybody there, leaves the egos at the door. Right? There's not specific, role and responsibility. We all work so well. All and Ken and everybody. I mean, I know I'm just naming a few, but everybody kind of just helps each other and leaves the egos. Like as far as what my role is, what I try to honestly do is to just kind of be the go-to guy in the pits, and whether that's trying to help somebody find where to park, or doing pill draw, or maybe somebody has a question about where they finished on the track, whether it be somebody coming in with fire and being the eyes, being our flagman and to keep the race moving. That's our job in pits, to keep the race on the track, but do it in a professional manner. And we're all there for fun, right? I mean, none of us, this is our full-time job. The same as the racers. We're there to make them have a great time and have a good time ourselves doing it, right? So really that's the way I look at my role is kind of be their go-to, be the racers' go-to. So sometimes you look at officials, and whether it be a referee in football or baseball, or an official in racing, and everybody thinks we're the bad guys, and that's not the case. Not the case at all. We're there to help and to work together to put on a show, right? I mean, and I've been around a lot of racetracks where the officials are just have these big chips on their shoulder and just want to just be this iron fist jerk. That's not getting any of us anywhere. I mean, we're all there to have fun. We're all there to respect each other. It's awesome. And that's what Latrobe is. I mean, I hope that people leave Latrobe Speedway and be like, man, those guys treat us good. And that starts with Dennis and Kathy, and they've kind of instilled that and us as their officials. I mean, this is what we need to do. We need to make sure that everybody leaves there feeling like they got treated fairly and they had a good time, and that's what we're all there for. So.
And you're right, and especially on a Saturday night, there's other things to do, but we're trying to pull people. We're trying to make sure they have a good time, a safe time, and everybody can come back next week and continue.
Absolutely.
Hey, John, appreciate you taking time. I know you have a lot to do tonight. That parenting thing, I know you're taking your boy to hockey tryouts, and appreciate you taking the time, like I said, to go for a ride with us. Any goals for this upcoming season?
Well, hopefully, for racing end of things, hopefully the weather, cooperates. I don't think any of us control that, but honestly, I'm having fun, and I think Mike said it last week to you as well. Like, what the atmosphere in Latrobe is, it's really. I want to make sure that we we treat everybody the right way, and just that's really it. I mean, I can tell you, I'm having fun again. I'm having fun with racing. It's really cool, and like I said, I know there's a lot more, a lot of people that you could be talking to that are a lot more interesting than I am. So appreciate you having me on, but and hopefully this
And again, we appreciate you taking time and going for a ride. And race fans, that's John Smilie, pit steward at the Latrobe Speedway. And we'll be hopefully racing as soon as Mother Nature lets us, which will hopefully be very soon. Hey, John, thanks again, and have a great night.
You too, buddy.
Thank you. Race fans, I'm on the phone right now with my second guest of the night, the pilot of the number 62 four-cylinder here at Latrobe, Jeremy Grubbs. Jeremy, welcome to the ride-along. How are you tonight? I'm doing good. I appreciate you taking time out and going for a ride. And let's talk a little bit about Jeremy Grubbs and your exposure and how you got involved in racing. You started... I'm sorry, please.
My dad, uncle, they were our age. Then started going down the motordrome to watch Paul Koffler race. Just when he started dating Beth Ann. Just one night we was down there walking around looking at cars, and I looked at my dad and I said, I want to try this. Well, probably 2 weeks after I mentioned about trying it, little Paul Koffler and his father, Big Paul, decided, hey, let's build you a car. So we got a car, went to Big Paul's house, and they had it put together in 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks everything was built, we towed it down to Motordrome Speedway, and we raced down there for a year and a half.
Now, gotta ask you, you come out of the stands and you see this race car, and I'm not saying you thought it would be easy, but what were you first thinking when you got behind the wheel of that car?
I thought I was going to get my first time being out there. I said, well, I'm gonna try to win a race. But that don't happen overnight. I mean, you gotta put your duck in the line. You gotta focus on it every night. Some guys, they get mad because things don't go their way, but you got to take a step back. You got to take a step back and look at the big picture on what you got to do, what kind of setup you got to run. It's fun, but if you want to be up in the front with the top dogs, you got a lot of homework to do. And over the 6-7 years I've been racing, I just finally found out last year when I first got my win at the Latrobe Speedway.
And you mentioned the Kofflers and how, I want to say, they've been influential in your racing career. You basically traded off all that racing knowledge. You gave them your sister, as Paul Koffler Jr. is married to Paul Koffler III is married to your sister. And you guys all race together, and it doesn't matter whether it's you, the Kofflers, or anybody races like in your team. You guys all go out and celebrate, and it's all as one.
Yeah, it's always. Yeah, it don't matter who wins or what happens. Yeah, you got to have each other's back. You know, we look at it this way. You know, we got 6, 7 cars involved in this racing. You know, we don't care who wins, who doesn't. It's all about the family. The kids, they love it. You know, they love seeing everybody out there. You know, this year coming along, I got my uncle involved. You know, he got a car. We got it together. He's going to be out there this year running with us. You know, because my cousin Dale, it's just a big family event.
Now, what are your plans for this year? You're going to go into the modified 4-cylinder class, not the bone stock one, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we'll be running the mods for. My goal is just like everybody, all the other drivers. I'm going to try to come off with the championship this year, Latrobe Speedway.
You led points for part of the year last year, and you were consistent, but you know it seemed like the consistency was either very good or the consistency was bad luck. But once you made that turn and got that win, it just seemed like everything started flowing back and you were moving back up through the points. And last year, you end up in the top 5 in points, picked up that win. And it had to be very special because I know, like, you know, we were talking with the Kofflers, but you got to get to victory lane on your own. And I know that was kind of important. You know, it's great to go out there with your family, but to do it yourself has to kind of set you a bar ahead, per se.
All right, yeah. There's times you can rely on other people to help you, but they're not going to win a race for you. You got to go out there and do it yourself. Go out there with a cool head. You got to find that line, and you got to run it. You can't just think, okay, listen to this person or that person tell you how to do it, because everything and all the other drivers are different. Some drivers like the high side, some drivers like the middle, or down on the low side. Myself, I love running the high side. If you put me down on the bottom of the low side, I'm done. I can't get around anybody because I'm not good running on the low side. Yeah. If you want to win a race, you got to do it on your own. You just can't rely on somebody else to do it for you.
Is that more of a driver's preference to whether it's the high side or the low side, or just the setup of the way the car's built?
The way we have my car set up and the way it's built, it handles much better on the high side. Yeah, I could take it to Latrobe Speedway. You can take it up to the rolling knob. It runs a lot better on the high side.
What are some of the things that are different? Maybe different gear ratio, different tires, you know.
Gears, what kind of depends on what kind of training you're running. If you're running a big training or a small training, and if you have a lock training or not. I mean, it all depends on how you set your car up, the way you want your car to run.
And we mentioned that you picked up the win here. You had some wins at Roaring Knob. You also picked up a win at Lernerville Speedway. But coming back to Latrobe, like I said, I mean, this is home. You're out there every week with your brother, your cousins, brother-in-law, all out there having a good time. But it has to be kind of hard on part of the family because, you know, let's take your sister. She's married to Paul Koffler. You're her brother. Dell's her cousin. You know, you have another brother that races. And it probably gets pretty interesting. You guys ever had an instance to where there was a wreck and all you guys were involved?
No, not at all. And yeah, we don't look at it that way. Yeah, if something happens to one of us, all the family, cousin, it don't matter who they're involved or they're help us to get the car back up and running. Yeah. Yeah, racing with Paul and my brother and my cousin Dale, and this year I got my uncle involved. There ain't everybody, or we're on the same page. We're out to help each other. Even if you win or you lose or you rank, you blow up. The next morning you're waking up, you're spending 2, 3, 4 hours on the car together, getting ready for next weekend.
And that just shows the bond that you guys have to be able to do that. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens. You guys are always there for each other. And you guys have jumped out and helped some other guys. And Tiffany Malcolose can't always say guys because Tiffany obviously isn't a guy, but she picked up the win at Fall Fest, and I know you guys were all down there, and it was a big party. It didn't matter, like I said, whether it's a Koffler car, Tiffany, you, Dale, it doesn't matter. If it comes out of that area, it's one win and one big team.
You're right, Howie. It's about it's all about the family and friends. Yeah, dirt track racing came a long way. Like my dad and uncle said, back in the time when they raced, you didn't have buddies like what you have now. You was always on your own because somebody was always mad. Somebody wanted to fight or do this. Today, it's all about the family and your friends. You're out there to help each other. The kids are involved. You don't want to fight around the kids. So you try to make the best night for it.
And that's one thing that you guys don't shy away from. It's not you come to the track and you send your wife and the kids to the stands. They're down there in the pits and they're down there helping you out with the car and do whatever they can do.
Okay, you're right, Howie. Like my son, my little he don't care what time it is, what night it is. He's down there with a hammer, run off the car. So like right now, him and my dad, they're in the garage right now working on a car. We're doing some little bit touch up for it for this weekend. But 30 degrees outside. The wood burner's not burning in the garage. That little boy's in there. He's up standing on top of the motor, helping Pappy put the fuel injectors in.
And trust me, those are memories that will last a lifetime for Bentley. And he can tell his friends, I worked on that race car, and that's what it's about. I'm sure you are because you're his dad, but Paul and all these racers are heroes to these little kids.
Yeah, they love it. It don't matter who the driver it is. All three of my kids, even though that I race, my daughter has her own favorite driver. My oldest son, he has his favorite driver. It's not about who you want to win. You pull together to come to the race just to cheer everybody on. They have a good time. We make a family night out of it every weekend. Just like this coming week for practice, my wife has a company work party. We wasn't going to come to practice, but she decided today not to go to a company party because she wants to be at Latrobe Speedway this weekend for practice.
And trust me, we greatly appreciate that. It just shows the dedication, and we want to thank, your family and your team. Always one of the first to help out with Kids Club. When we did ride-alongs, you guys were like, listen, we'll do as many laps as kids are here. We don't care. And it just shows the dedication that you guys have. More importantly, not to yourself, but to making sure the kids and everybody have a good time, because that's what it's about.
It's all about even getting on a pedal bike and riding that bike around the whole track at night for the bike race. It's all about the kids. To show them that there's things out there that if you want to try to get, you got to chase for it. You want to be a race car driver, you gotta follow your dreams. Like I said, I'd never been around racing until when my sister got with Paul Koffler. I went to Motordrome one night and I was like, oh wow, this is fun. Built a car and been in it ever since.
I thought you were going to kill me that night that I had you do a full lap around the half mile, and we had the oxygen tank waiting for you at the start-finish line. Luckily, you didn't need it.
Morning, my legs wouldn't.
Well, like I say, we appreciate all that you do, and just going that extra mile, extra whatever, just to make sure that everybody has a good time.
So it's all about having fun, having a good time at the racetrack. The most important thing is everybody comes home, at night. No injury. You might mess up your car here and there, but you get up the next morning, you fix it, and be on your way.
Now we're showing some pictures of the new car. Why don't you go ahead and thank everybody who helped make the 2022 season possible.
Big thanks first is my dad. He's up here every day after work. He works 10, 11 hours a day. He comes straight up after work, puts my car together. Then he leaves here. Then he goes down to my brother's, put his together. My dad, he's my biggest fan. He's my number one. If it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be doing this. I'm not too smart on putting brakes on a car or changing oil. I'm just a truck driver. I sit there every day. That's what I do. I drive a truck all day long. If it wasn't for him, the car wouldn't be ready. My wife, she's another one. She supports me day in, day out. There's times I'm out in this garage till 10, 11 o'clock at night. She's coming out, trying to give me a hand. My kids, for having my back, let me do what I love to do. My sponsors, Mike Luth Construction, if it wasn't for him, giving us what we asked for, buying tires or our racing suit and stuff like that. Big Mike's Barbecue and Gary's Auto Sale. If it wasn't for them guys, we wouldn't have a nice looking car or the top of the line safety equipment.
Well, we appreciate all that you do, and we're looking forward to getting the season started. And we wish you great luck, and thank you for taking a ride.
Yeah, and thanks Kathy and Dennis, what they do for Latrobe Speedway, all the employees. You guys have got something going on. I hope this time, next 20, 30 years down the road, we can keep it going.
Definitely. And appreciate all that you do to keep Latrobe going and your great support. Thanks again, Jeremy.
You're welcome, Howie.
Race fans, that was Jeremy Grubbs, pilot of the number 62 modified 4-cylinder, sponsored by Big Mike's Barbecue, Gary's Auto Sale, Mike Lutz Construction. We're going to be back in a couple minutes with our final announcements. Race fans, that's going to conclude our second ride along. While we have this opportunity, I'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors, which include SMB Promotions, Seal Tight Pavement Maintenance, Specialty Metals, Joe's Body Shop and Towing, Stone & Company, Vinyl Destination, DJS Swag, K2 Engineering Incorporated, and RockAuto.com. Be sure to support those who make racing possible. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the Ride Along.